But some of you may think, well, you're just going to beat this point to death. I am going to beat a bunch of points into you somehow, okay? Because, quite frankly, we have not received the fullness of Messiah if we are still afraid of stuff, if we don't have peace. So we're going to talk about in this teaching how we get it, what prevents us from having it or what disturbs it, and what can cause us to say, lose our peace, lose our shalom. I don't mean lose it like people think about like losing your salvation. I mean, like what can take away, steal your peace? So now you don't have any peace. I'll tell you what, I talk to some people on the phone on a weekly basis, not particular people, but every week somebody will call me up and their peace is gone. He's going to give us peace, but he's not going to hand it to us. See, I could tell you, instead of giving you one, I can give you access to mine and tell you can copy it and make a copy of it. Now you've got to do something yourself. I'm going to tell you how to have your own copy. I'm not just going to give it to you. So Yeshua says, my peace I give to you, but I don't give it to you like the world gives things. I'm not just going to give it to you. And so we got to figure out, well, how do we receive his peace? And he's telling them, look, you are with me now, but there will be a time when I won't be. And he says, let not your heart be troubled. In other words, there are going to be events that should, for most people, cause their hearts to be troubled. But you should not have a heart that's troubled. That's the key as we go through all of this. We're going through stuff. If you don't find a way to embrace that everything that's happening is in the context of a much bigger picture. And the end of that picture is the kingdom. The part that you all desire, the wiping away every tear, and there's nothing but joy, and there will be nobody to disturb your peace, and nobody to harass anybody, and all of that wonderful stuff that he tells you the kingdom will be like. But you have to also embrace that all the stuff he said from this moment to then that still has to happen. The book you have, the scriptures, from Genesis to maps, okay? From Genesis to Revelation 22. Genesis 1 to Revelation 22. All of this is so that your heart not be troubled. All of this is so that you can have peace. He says, I don't give it to you like the world gives it to you. You have to study it, ingest it, and make it a part of you. You have to believe it. What is he saying there? And if not, I would have told you so. In other words, I've told you everything I need to tell you. Everything you need, I've told you. That's what he's saying there. He's not just talking about the house thing and the staying places. He's saying, look, what you need, I have told you. If not, I would have told you that it was different. So two things we know there. A, he's told us everything we need, and B, he's told us everything correctly. If that wasn't the way it was, I would have told you differently. In other words, trust everything I've said. Now we're going to take this in a much more literal sense based on what he's saying in John 14 than maybe you've ever thought of before. Well, no one comes to the Father except through him. And we think of that as in he called you, he opened your eyes. I think he's talking about it in a much more literal way. No one actually literally comes in the end to the Father except through him, the way, the truth, and the life. So take it in a much more literal sense. Literally, when we go before the Father, when we actually come to him in the end, the happily ever after, he says, no one is going to come to the Father except through these three things. Him being the way, the truth, and the life. So who's the helper that's coming? Yeshua. He says, I'm coming to you. Now, how does he do that? Through the Ruach HaKodesh. There is a third aspect of what the Godhead does. You have the two beings, and you have this thing called the Ruach that they do things through. The means by which. And that's how he can be in you. He says, I shall be in you. The Spirit of truth that's going to be in you, he says, I'm coming to you. I'm coming. Because the Spirit of truth is the Spirit of Yeshua. Yeshua is the truth. How does that dwell in you? With this thing called the Spirit, the Ruach. The world doesn't keep covenant. The world doesn't observe the commandments. The world doesn't observe the Torah. He said, Master, what is happening that you're going to manifest to us and not to the rest of the world? And he's saying, you're not listening. You're not getting it. This is about covenanted people. Those who are in covenant, who are obeying the truth, the Torah, the way, they are going to be with my Father. He says, our stay is with them. We shall come to him and make our stay with him. He says, we're going to stay with him because we are those who are covenanted. That's who gets into Revelation chapter 21, the new Jerusalem that comes down from the heavens to the new earth. And we will then dwell. It says, and now Elohim is dwelling with men. That is what we're headed towards.